I just feel like, from my knowledge and what I know, I feel like 50 was just mad that my dad didn't want to take on him as an artist. Like, why are you dealing with Murder Inc. and Ja Rule and them, and you could be, I'm from your neighborhood, like, sign me, get me signed, mess with me. And my dad was with them. My dad's loyal, so he's gonna be with the people. He's gonna stay with the people he always been with. So I guess 50 was like, you know what? I'm gonna show you that I'm better than them, and I'm gonna them too while I'm doing it. I want to prove to you, like, you should have been dealing with me the whole time.
Here's what Kenneth's son has to say about the feud between 50 Cent and his father. Could this conflict have contributed to Kenneth McGriff's downfall? Let's find out about the tragic fate of Kenneth McGriff. The rise and early years of Kenneth McGriff and the Supreme Team. Kenneth Supreme McGriff's story is one of complex dichotomies, reflecting the harsh realities of life in South Jamaica, Queens, during the tumultuous 1980s. Born into a blue-collar family, McGriff's early life seemed unremarkable. However, the streets of South Jamaica were a crucible where unremarkable beginnings often forged extraordinary destinies, albeit through means both legal and illicit. The crack epidemic of the 1980s provided the backdrop for McGriff's rise as he formed the Supreme Team, a gang that would become synonymous with the ruthlessness and opulence of the era's trade. McGriff's leadership transformed the Supreme Team from a street-level operation into a sophisticated, well-organized entity that mirrored legitimate business operations. This structured approach set the Supreme Team apart from other gangs, making them a formidable force in the McGriff's ability to maintain discipline and his strategic acumen were key factors in their success. He understood the importance of community ties, often engaging in acts that would endear him to the neighborhood, such as organizing basketball tournaments and hosting musical performances. These acts were not just about goodwill, but were strategic moves to ensure loyalty and silence from the community. The Supreme Team's operations were a stark contrast to the chaotic nature of most street-level. Under McGriff's leadership, their activities became a well-oiled machine, displaying a level of efficiency that was revolutionary in the underworld. The Baisley Park housing projects were turned into the nerve center of their operations, fortified and fiercely guarded. McGriff established a hierarchy within the team, assigning specific roles and responsibilities to ensure smooth and effective operations. Their ability to monopolize the crack trade in their territory was marked by innovative tactics for distribution and security. They set up a network of lookouts and enforcers to protect their interests. McGriff's business model was based on efficiency and control, and his influence extended beyond the mere transactional nature of. He was a figurehead deeply involved in the strategic planning and execution of their operations. McGriff's community engagement helped build a protective buffer around the Supreme Team. Many in the community saw them as benefactors rather than just. McGriff's ability to blend ruthlessness with street-level philanthropy was a key factor in the Supreme Team's enduring influence. However, with great power came great scrutiny. The Supreme Team's operations did not go unnoticed by law enforcement. As their empire grew, so did the attention from police and federal agencies, leading to a cat-and-mouse game between the gang and law enforcement. The intersection of crime and hip-hop. The 1980s were also a time of significant cultural transformation, with the rise of hip-hop playing a crucial role. McGriff's connections in the music industry began to form during this period, setting the stage for a crossover that would later define a significant part of his legacy. The Supreme Team's lifestyle, filled with luxury cars, designer clothes, and extravagant parties, became a source of inspiration for many aspiring rappers who saw McGriff and his crew as embodiments of the success they aspired to achieve. McGriff's influence seeped into the burgeoning world of hip-hop, and his connections in the industry began to take shape. His relationship with Irv Gotti, a rising figure in the hip-hop scene and the founder of Records, was particularly significant. Gotti and McGriff's relationship was built on mutual respect and shared roots in Queens. McGriff, with his street reputation and connections, offered Gotti a kind of authenticity and protection in the hip-hop world. In return, Gotti provided McGriff with an entry point into an industry that was rapidly gaining cultural and economic power. McGriff's involvement in the entertainment industry was multifaceted. He began by investing in and producing films, an endeavor that aligned with his long-standing interest in storytelling and the portrayal of urban life. His projects were extensions of his life story and the environment he knew so well. However, McGriff's transition was not without its challenges. His past as a kingpin cast a long shadow, and his involvement in the music industry was viewed with suspicion by both law enforcement and some within the industry itself. The lines between McGriff's former life and his new venture were often blurred, leading to controversies and legal scrutiny. The feud with 50 Cent and the downfall. The late 1990s and early 2000s marked a tumultuous period for McGriff, characterized by intense legal scrutiny and high-profile feuds. One of the most notable conflicts was his feud with rapper 50 Cent, born Curtis Jackson. This feud brought McGriff's name to the forefront once again, intertwining his legacy with one of hip-hop's biggest stars. 50 Cent's song Ghetto Quran detailed the activities of various from Queens, including McGriff, which was seen as a violation of the street code of silence. The tension between McGriff and 50 Cent escalated rapidly. In May 2000, 50 Cent was shot 9 times in an incident that many speculated was connected to his lyrical provocations.
Well, you paid because someone, felt like that I would potentially do something to them if they kept going in the direction that they were going.
Man, you are tough.
While McGriff was never charged with the shooting, his name was consistently linked to the incident in media reports and street rumors. This event marked a significant moment in the feud, intertwining McGriff's legacy with the narrative of one of hip-hop's biggest stars. McGriff's alleged involvement in the music industry's darker side was not limited to his feud with 50 Cent. His association with Irv Gotti and Inc. Records brought him under the scrutiny of law enforcement agencies. The federal government began investigating McGriff for various criminal activities, including and money laundering, allegedly connected to his involvement in the music industry. The investigation into McGriff Inc. was part of a larger crackdown on the alleged intersection of criminal activities and the hip-hop industry. The federal probe put a spotlight on McGriff's past and present activities, blurring the lines between his legitimate business endeavors and his alleged ongoing involvement in criminal enterprises. Throughout this period, McGriff maintained a complex relationship with the hip-hop community. To some, he was a figure of intrigue and respect, a symbol of the street ethos that was a core element of hip-hop culture. To others, he was a controversial figure, emblematic of the problematic nexus between crime and entertainment. The trials and convictions. The early 2000s marked the beginning of the end for Kenneth McGriff and the once feared Supreme Team. This period was characterized by intense legal scrutiny, trials, and the eventual unraveling of McGriff's criminal empire. The downfall of McGriff was not just the story of one man's decline, it was a reflection of the changing dynamics in the streets and the relentless pursuit of justice by law enforcement. The federal investigation into McGriff's activities, particularly his alleged involvement in criminal enterprises connected to the music industry, intensified. McGriff, along with Irv Gotti and others associated with Inc. Records, found themselves at the center of a high-profile money laundering and racketeering case. The charges stemmed from McGriff's alleged continued involvement in and other criminal activities, purportedly using the music label as a front. The trial was a media spectacle, drawing attention not just for its high-profile defendants, but also for the broader implications it had on the hip-hop industry. The case against McGriff and Gotti was built on a combination of surveillance, wiretaps, and testimonies from former associates. The prosecution painted a picture of McGriff as a mastermind who continued his criminal activities under the guise of a legitimate business in the entertainment industry. McGriff's defense team argued that his involvement in the music industry was a legitimate attempt to turn his life around, and that the government was unfairly targeting him due to his past. They contended that McGriff was being scapegoated for the broader issues of crime and violence associated with hip-hop culture. The trial and the media coverage it garnered brought to light the complex relationship between the street and the music industry. It highlighted the thin line between reality and perception, between the persona of the street-savvy executive and the alleged criminal activities behind the scenes. In the end, McGriff was convicted on several charges, including racketeering. The conviction was a significant blow to McGriff and marked the official end of the Supreme Team's reign. McGriff's sentence to life in prison was a stark reminder of the consequences of a life entangled in crime. The downfall of McGriff also signaled a shift in the landscape of the trade in Queens. The Supreme Team, once an untouchable empire, was now a part of history. The streets of South Jamaica, which had once thrived under the shadow of McGriff's organization, were now witnessing a new era, one that was less dominated by the presence of a single powerful entity. The story of Kenneth McGriff and the Supreme Team transcends the narrative of a criminal empire's rise and fall. It is a tale deeply woven into the fabric of New York's urban culture, particularly within the hip-hop community. McGriff's legacy is complex, marked by both infamy and a certain degree of reverence, reflecting the multifaceted nature of his influence. In the streets of South Jamaica, Queens, McGriff's name continues to resonate. For some, he is remembered as a symbol of the harsh realities of street life, a figure who embodied the struggles and aspirations of many in the community. McGriff's rise from the neighborhood to the pinnacle of the trade is seen by some as a twisted version of the American dream, a narrative of success against all odds, albeit through illicit means. In the hip-hop world, McGriff's impact is equally nuanced. His connection to the industry, particularly through his association with Irv Gotti and Records, positioned him as a figure of intrigue. McGriff represented the gritty authenticity that many in hip-hop sought to associate with. His story, with its blend of street credibility, power, and eventual downfall, has been a source of inspiration for lyrics and narratives within the genre. However, McGriff's legacy is also marred by the darker aspects of his life. The violence and destruction that were part of the Supreme Team's modus operandi left a lasting scar on the community. The lives lost and the families affected by the team's activities are a somber reminder of the cost of their empire. The end of McGriff's reign and his subsequent incarceration marked a turning point in the history of South Jamaica. The dismantling of the Supreme Team led to a power vacuum and a reshaping of the neighborhood's criminal landscape. McGriff's absence from the streets left a legacy that is still being unraveled, with new players and dynamics emerging in the wake of the Supreme Team's dissolution. Rappers whose careers are ruptured by 50 Cent. Just like Kenneth McGriff, 50 Cent has had a profound influence on the careers and lives of other rappers, often leaving an indelible mark through his strategic confrontations, business acumen, and unparalleled ability to leverage his public persona. McGriff's influence, marked by his intersection of crime and entertainment, parallels the way 50 Cent has wielded his power and influence within the hip-hop industry. While McGriff's story is rooted in the and its deep connections with the music world, 50 Cent's narrative is entwined with his confrontational style, which has dramatically altered the career trajectories of numerous artists. Curtis Jackson, universally known by his stage name, 50 Cent, stands as one of the most influential and controversial figures in the history of hip-hop. His career trajectory is a testament to his resilience, business acumen, and ability to turn personal adversity into unparalleled success. Born and raised in the gritty neighborhood of South Jamaica, Queens, 50 Cent's rise from a tumultuous childhood to a multi-million-dollar empire is the quintessential rags to riches story.
I was hustling since I was 12.
I knew I made it when?
Well, when I got my mom into a space where it was better than they got themselves into. To new house, where they don't have to work, things like that. And I feel like that's the biggest thing I accomplished.
50 Cent's journey to stardom was marked by significant challenges. His debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', released in 2003, was a monumental success. The album, featuring hit singles like In Da Club, 21 Questions, and PIMP, catapulted 50 Cent to international fame, selling over 12 million copies worldwide. The album's raw, unfiltered portrayal of street life, coupled with 50 Cent's unique vocal delivery, resonated deeply with audiences, establishing him as a dominant figure in hip-hop. Beyond his music, 50 Cent's influence extended into various business ventures, showcasing his astute entrepreneurial skills. He launched G-Unit Records, signing successful artists such as Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and Young Buck. His foray into acting and film production further expanded his brand, with notable projects including the semi-autobiographical film Get Rich or Die Tryin' and the hit television series Power. Additionally, 50 Cent's business ventures included a highly profitable investment in vitamin water, which netted him a substantial profit when the company was sold to Coca-Cola. However, 50 Cent's career is also marked by numerous high-profile feuds with other artists. These feuds, often public and contentious, have had significant repercussions for those involved. 50 Cent's aggressive style and strategic use of media have allowed him to dominate these conflicts, often leading to his rival's downfall or significant setbacks. One of the most notable and prolonged feuds in hip-hop history is the conflict between 50 Cent and Ja Rule. Ja Rule, born Jeffrey Atkins, was a dominant force in the late 1990s and early 2000s, known for his distinctive gravelly voice and a string of hit singles that seamlessly blended hardcore rap with R&B. His collaborations with artists like Ashanti, Jennifer Lopez, and others brought him mainstream success, making him a household name. However, his career took a significant hit due to his feud with 50 Cent, a rivalry that would become one of the most infamous in music history. The origins of the feud date back to the late 1990s, rooted in personal animosities and street-level conflicts in their shared hometown of Queens, New York. The tension reportedly began when Ja Rule saw 50 Cent with a man who had robbed him of his jewelry, sparking a deep-seated animosity between the two. This personal vendetta soon spilled over into their professional lives as both artists began to rise in the rap industry. The rivalry escalated when 50 Cent, born Curtis Jackson, signed with Eminem's Shady Records and Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment, gaining a massive platform to launch his attacks. 50 Cent released a series of diss tracks targeting Ja Rule and his label, Inkious Records. Songs like Wanksta, Back Down, and I Smell Pussy were scathing critiques that questioned Ja Rule's street credibility and authenticity. These tracks not only insulted Ja Rule, but also mocked the entire Art crew, portraying them as inauthentic and soft. 50 Cent's relentless attacks were highly strategic, leveraging his rising popularity and media savvy to undermine Ja Rule's image. His debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', was a commercial juggernaut, and tracks like Back Down dedicated entire verses to discrediting Ja Rule. The song's aggressive lyrics and 50 Cent's burgeoning influence in the industry turned public sentiment against Ja Rule, leading to a decline in his album sales and a tarnished public image. Despite Ja Rule's attempts to retaliate with his diss tracks, such as Loose Change and Clapback, he struggled to regain his footing in the industry. Loose Change was particularly notable for its direct and incendiary lyrics, where Ja Rule attacked not only 50 Cent, but also his associates, including Eminem and Dr. Dre. However, the response from the public and critics was lukewarm, and the track failed to make a significant impact. The feud not only damaged Ja Rule's career, but also cast a long shadow over Inkious Records. The label, founded by Irv Gotti, faced intense scrutiny from both the media and law enforcement. In 2003, Inc. was raided by federal agents investigating allegations of and connections to kingpin Kenneth Supreme McGriff. The legal troubles and financial instability that followed further weakened the label's position in the industry. Ja Rule's career, once marked by chart-topping hits and commercial success, never fully recovered from the feud with 50 Cent. While he continued to release music and tour, the impact of the rivalry lingered. His subsequent albums failed to achieve the same level of success, and his presence in the mainstream music scene diminished significantly. The feud with 50 Cent became a cautionary tale, illustrating how a high-profile conflict could devastate an artist's career. In recent years, Ja Rule has attempted to reinvent himself, exploring ventures outside of music, such as acting and entrepreneurship. Despite these efforts, the legacy of his feud with 50 Cent remains a significant chapter in his career, a stark reminder of how the battles in the rap game can have far-reaching and lasting consequences. Another rapper whose career was significantly affected by his association with Ja Rule and the ensuing feud with 50 Cent is Fat Joe. Born Joseph Cartagena, Fat Joe was a respected figure in hip-hop, known for his hits like Lean Back and his contributions to the Terror Squad. However, his collaboration with Ja Rule and his association with Inkious Records made him a target in 50 Cent's broader campaign against his rivals. The conflict between 50 Cent and Fat Joe became prominent in the mid-2000s, with 50 Cent releasing diss tracks aimed at Fat Joe, such as Piggy Bank. The track, which also targeted other artists like Nas and Jadakiss, criticized Fat Joe for his association with Ja Rule and questioned his credibility. 50 Cent's aggressive tactics and ability to dominate the media narrative placed significant pressure on Fat Joe. Despite Fat Joe's efforts to defend himself with tracks like My Fofo, the feud took a toll on his career, The constant need to respond to 50 Cent's provocations diverted attention from his music and affected his commercial performance. Although Fat Joe managed to maintain a presence in the industry, the feud with 50 Cent marked a challenging period for him, highlighting the risks of being entangled in 50 Cent's vendettas. The feud also had broader implications for the hip-hop community, illustrating the divisive impact of 50 Cent's confrontational style. It underscored how alliances and rivalries could shape the careers of artists, often with long-lasting consequences. The Game, born Jason Terrell Taylor, experienced a tumultuous relationship with 50 Cent that ultimately affected his career. Initially, their collaboration seemed promising, with The Game joining G-Unit and benefiting from 50 Cent's mentorship. The Game's debut album, The Documentary, released in 2005, was a commercial success, featuring hits like How We Do and Hate It or Love It, both of which included 50 Cent. However, internal conflicts and creative differences led to a very public falling out between The Game and 50 Cent. The tension boiled over when 50 Cent claimed that he had written several tracks on the documentary, a claim that The Game disputed. The conflict escalated quickly, with both artists releasing diss tracks aimed at each other. The Game's 300 Bars and Runnin' and 50 Cent's Not Rich, Still Lyin' are notable examples of the extensive back and forth that characterized their rivalry. The feud had significant repercussions for The Game's career. His departure from G-Unit disrupted his trajectory, forcing him to establish himself as a solo artist without the backing of one of the most influential crews in hip-hop. Despite the challenges, The Game managed to maintain a successful solo career, releasing several acclaimed albums. However, the split from G-Unit and the public nature of their conflict posed significant obstacles, highlighting the difficulties of navigating the music industry amidst such high-profile disputes. The Game's feud with 50 Cent also underscored the personal and professional complexities of the hip-hop world. It illustrated how quickly alliances could shift and how personal conflicts could spill over into public arenas, affecting not only the artists involved, but also their fan bases and broader industry dynamics. Rick Ross, born William Leonard Roberts II, is another high-profile artist who found himself embroiled in a feud with 50 Cent that had substantial implications for his career. The conflict began in 2009, when Rick Ross took offense to a perceived slight from 50 Cent at the BET Awards. What followed was a series of diss tracks, public insults, and personal attacks that captured the attention of the hip-hop community. 50 Cent's strategy during this feud involved releasing a series of videos mocking Rick Ross, including one where he interviewed the mother of one of Rick Ross's children. This personal level of attack was characteristic of 50 Cent's approach to feuds, aiming to undermine his rival's credibility and public image. The videos, part of 50 Cent's Officer Ricky campaign, painted Rick Ross as a fraud, questioning his background as a correctional officer before he became a rapper. Despite the intense feud, Rick Ross managed to navigate the conflict and continue building his career. He released successful albums such as Deeper Than Rap, Teflon Don, and God Forgives I Don't, maintaining his presence in the industry and solidifying his status as a major player in hip-hop. Rick Ross's ability to withstand 50 Cent's onslaught and continue producing successful music demonstrated resilience and strategic acumen. However, the feud remains a notable chapter in both artists' careers, illustrating the disruptive potential of 50 Cent's confrontational style. The conflict highlighted the lengths to which 50 Cent would go to discredit his rivals and the significant impact these feuds could have on their careers and personal lives. 50 Cent's impact on the careers of other artists extends beyond these high-profile conflicts. His feud with Cameron, another prominent rapper, is a case in point. The feud began in 2007 when Cameron challenged 50 Cent during a live radio interview, leading to a series of diss tracks from both sides. While the feud did not have the same career-altering impact as his conflicts with Ja Rule or The Game, it nonetheless illustrated 50 Cent's penchant for confrontation and his ability to draw other artists into public disputes. 50 Cent's feuds are not limited to rappers. His conflict with music executive Steve Stoute, which dates back to the early 2000s, showcases his willingness to take on industry insiders as well. The feud reignited in 2014 when 50 Cent confronted Stoute at a basketball game, highlighting the enduring nature of his rivalries. 50 Cent's influence in the hip-hop industry is multifaceted, marked by significant commercial success and notorious feuds. His confrontational approach and strategic use of media have allowed him to dominate rivalries and significantly impact the careers of other artists. The cases of Ja Rule, Fat Joe, The Game, and Rick Ross highlight the profound effects of 50 Cent's feuds, demonstrating his ability to disrupt and challenge his adversaries in ways that have lasting repercussions. Through these conflicts, 50 Cent has cemented his reputation as a formidable figure in hip-hop, capable of both incredible artistic achievements and contentious rivalries. His story is a testament to the power dynamics within the music industry and the intricate interplay between personal ambition, public perception, and professional success. The feuds underscore the complexities of navigating the hip-hop world, where personal conflicts and professional alliances can have far-reaching consequences. In reflecting on the tragic fate of Kenneth McGriff, we see a parallel in how personal choices and rivalries can shape one's legacy. Just as McGriff's life story is a complex tapestry of ambition, power, and eventual downfall, 50 Cent's career illustrates the high stakes and intense pressures of the music industry. Both figures serve as reminders of the lasting impact of our actions and the intricate connections between personal narratives and broader cultural dynamics. That's a wrap on the video. If you enjoyed it, check out one of these boxes too. I'll catch you on the next one.